Hi everybody, this is Julia, your trusted travel expert from Matheson Travel, helping you find that je ne sais quoi wherever you are in the world. And this week I wanted to take this fall weather to talk to you about a particular region of the world which somehow makes me think about Halloween and fall, and that's what's traditionally known as Eastern Europe, but it's actually Central Europe. And I'm specifically talking about Budapest, Vienna, and Prague, which are sort of the three kind of imperial capitals, or the capitals of imperial Europe. And those are sort of stretching along the Danube River, and except for Prague. Prague is actually much further north than the river. It's kind of on its own in the Czech Republic, or Czechia, as I think it wants to be called now. And for that reason, the Danube, that stretch of the river, is one of the most popular river cruise routes. And so I wanted to help you understand whether the river cruise is right for you, whether a different escorted tour would be right for you, or whether you'd rather explore the area independently, which is also quite possible. So the way the itineraries kind of generally work, and the way you would want to structure your itinerary, is to either start in Prague or Budapest and then explore in between. And you're going to want at least 3 nights, I would say, in Prague, Vienna, and Budapest. So you could theoretically do a 10-day trip just doing those 3 cities. And there are actually a number of escorted tours that are just structured like that. But there's so much else to see in the region that I wanted to let you know kind of what some other ideas what you might have. So like I said, Prague is up off the river. So if you're doing a river cruise, for example, when I was just looking at, you fly into Prague, meet the tour, see the city for a couple days, and then you go down and meet the boat in either far eastern Germany or sometimes even in the very tip of Austria. They all sort of meet right there at the Danube. And then you start cruising down the Danube, but there's lots of stuff in that sort of meeting of Austria, Germany, and the Czech Republic that you really would want to see. One of which is the UNESCO town of Český Krumlov. That's a really fascinating town that a lot of people really enjoy. You can either spend the night there, or most of the cruises you'll see it on your way from Prague to the boat. That's the way the river cruises work. And then south of the river, just kind of outside of, I guess, Passau or Linz are some of the cities on the river that you would do this excursion from. That's Salzburg, and that's in Austria, and that's one of my favorite cities in Europe. It's not only the birthplace of Mozart, so it's got amazing music history and stuff in it, but it's also where they filmed The Sound of Music. So it's obviously got just amazing sights, castle on a hill, the Alps all around, the gardens where they sang Do Re Mi, lots of really fun stuff that most people would want to see. So Český Krumlov and Salzburg are 2 towns that on a river cruise you may have to decide between seeing one or the other, or you may only get to see one, or they may not even be included on either a river or an escorted tour. So if those 2 cities are in that region are 2 that you would want to see, that's when you would want to start thinking about an independent, a self-guided, either using trains or a rental car trip of your own. So once you start heading down there, then you go through the Wachau Valley in Austria, which is an amazing wine region, and there's Melk Abbey, which is a really popular stop for river cruises. It's a beautiful abbey, and that's actually also a really easy day trip out of Vienna, which is the next big city that you're gonna want to see. And Vienna, again, you're gonna want to at least spend 3 nights there because there's so many museums and palaces and just really cool stuff that you want to be able to see. Opera is very popular there, and Vienna you really want to take some time. So probably, you could, I guess, get away with 2 nights. I think I did see a tour or 2 that only did 2 nights in Vienna, but to me you really need 3 nights in that amazing city with all the history that's there. And then from Vienna, before you get to Budapest, just down the river is Bratislava, which is the capital of Slovakia, which is, kind of apt for Halloween, up in northern Slovakia, sort of like where Transylvania is and stuff like that. But Bratislava is a smaller capital, but well worth a visit. I've had clients who've definitely spent the night there. But most tours that you do will just sort of stop over there on your way from Budapest to Vienna. The river cruises don't always stop there, so if seeing Slovakia and checking out a little bit of a different feel in this region is important to you, that's another time that you might want to think about independent travel. And then finally, not the end of the Danube goes all the way down to the Black Sea. through Romania and stuff. But the end of most of the trips in this region is Budapest. And Budapest is this super cool city. It is two different cities. One's, you know, on either side of the Danube. Buda is up in the hills with a castle and amazing UNESCO churches and stuff, and then Pest is the flatter side, where you've got Hero Square and the gorgeous parliament buildings, and also the opera, where opera is also really big in Budapest. And Budapest is so unlike Vienna, but they were so popular at the same time. It's just really interesting to compare and contrast them. Prague is the most different from those three cities. It doesn't have any of that same kind of Baroque monumental architecture. It has monumental architecture for sure. It's got, again, a castle on a hill, this amazing town square, but Prague is not, it's much more different than those other two that are on the river. So those are just some things to keep in mind. Another thing to think about if you're comparing and contrasting an independent tour versus a river cruise or an escorted tour is how much you want to do in Hungary. Because Budapest, it's an amazing city, and again, 3 nights for sure that you would want to spend in Budapest, but there's lots of cool stuff outside of Budapest that's either up along the river. There's some little towns that I don't even know how to pronounce them, I'm so sorry, but Esterházy I think is one where they have really cool stuff that you can see. There's also like a lot of bohemian like horse farms and stuff like that outside of Hungary. So that's another reason why you definitely want to spend at least 3 nights in Hungary, but why you might also want to extend or definitely read through the itineraries of the trips you're looking at to see if it sees the stuff in Bohemia that you want to see. So that's just a quick overview, very quick overview of sort of Central Europe and some of the highlights that you would want to check out, and compare and contrast if you're looking at an escorted tour, a river cruise, or like I said, an independent tour, which would be really easy because this area is super well serviced by not only you know, ferries or like catamarans that go up and down the river, like especially between Bratislava and Vienna, but trains. I mean, trains are all over this area, and you can easily train from Budapest to Vienna, Vienna to Prague, and even do little day trips from any of those cities to see some of this really cool stuff. So those are just a few things to think about. That's it for this week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye!